Okay, so we're gonna call the meeting to order at 3:32. Monday, Monday, April 19th. And thought we would start with, I guess we're gonna roll with. I had an agenda and Juliana got an agenda, they're pretty similar. So if anyone has additions or deletions to the agenda, then we'll start there.
I have an addition, but I think it's kind of old business. I think we kind of touched on it, but just to review again, the passing of ownership of the slot. How that works. Oh.
So adding the passing of cemetery lots onto other people.
No, it's a personal question for me. It's just how does that go from one down to the other? I know it's the last.
It's the oldest person, I just had this is,
So
it's
that's
the
what I
oldest
was-
living person of the person who, okay, my case, my grandfather put the stone in.
Mhm.
So as long as my father was alive, he was the oldest relative. But then he died and I thought it went to me, but it didn't. It went back to my Uncle David,
Mhm.
who was, and so Uncle David had to sign it over to me to be the one.
So it's the closest relation to
To
the people.
the original person, yes. Yep, the oldest and closest, yes,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah.
I think we wanted to talk about we have to approve the minutes, yes?
Yeah.
Last time, I think did a great job writing them up, but everyone had a chance to look at them.
Thanks. I looked at them online. I do have a question. A comment.
Okay.
I think the information on here is well done and it's a lot. But I think there's some things that should have been left out, some personal things.
Really?
Yeah, I think that the more concise it is, the better, because everybody reads them and you
I
know,
put 10 pages of notes, and I thought that was about as concise as I could get, without leaving out information. Well, I can, yeah, I can cut more.
I'm trying to think what it was that I was thinking of.
The sentence, everyone was really mad at Rini at the meeting. I'm just kidding.
Juliana's saying he needs to be let into the meeting from Zoom, so I'm gonna leave him run the meeting. So I can see the screen.
Okay.
Not speaking. Anyone meeting?
Okay.
Do you want me to try again?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not seeing where he's trying to get into the meeting.
I got it. It was just the part that, one meeting last year, Mayor Wilson stated that the chairman doesn't live up to his responsibilities, he should step down. I didn't think that was necessary to put out there in public, but just me.
I was just being mean.
No, I don't think it was me. I think it was exactly what happened at a meeting, and it was a true representation of here. I'm just thinking that some things that are talked about here don't need to be here.
That makes sense.
That's only, you don't kind of want to ignite a fire on it, you know what I mean? But I know the feeling.
But I guess maybe I obviously put it in because I thought it just.
It flowed.
out. So maybe I don't know what has to be left out.
I'm texting him
I know that when I was doing them, Carol got on me and actually gave me a template.
Really?
Yeah, and it was so clear that you didn't get a sense of what happened. That's what I said.
Send him an invite back.
And I like
Oh,
knowing, because I like reading something that if you weren't there, you know what happened.
right.
And I think
And I was
that's
afraid
important.
I took too much out. And I just said, here's what we talked about, one list.
Yeah.
But we do need a second. No one seconded the.
I can't do anything. 'Cause
I second.
I can
Oh,
go.
hold on, there he is.
Yeah,
Just-
yeah.
just jumped on here. Hello?
So is anybody missing? Is anybody missing? Okay. Yeah, but I can't. Where's some trying to get in?
Oh, or Rover.
No, we're trying to get in this building?
No.
Okay. I can.
Oh, now that was,
Miss
Ellen,
IT,
you don't have to worry anymore.
One more reading. I should have. Reading, it should what you brought up first. I was looking for my pen and my glasses.
The,
So I-
passage of ownership of cemetery lots. Because in my case, I think I'm the only one left now, because it was Mary Goyette was the last Zanleone. Yeah, so after her is me, or is it her children? Her children aren't Zanleone.
I think,
There's no one I can get permission from, they're dead.
yeah,
That was my.
if you're the oldest one
No,
now, you can designate whoever you want to do it. You can, because there's no one left to be in charge of the lot. So is there more lots that somebody would be buried in and all that is your
no,
concern?
it's just the Zanleone family, so there are a couple lots left, but they're not for anybody to be in but me. That's what I've been told.
Yeah. So so just because there's nothing going on, so what's the concern for you when you die?
If I'm truly allowed to be there, I don't have any paper that says, it, and there isn't that older person to say, yes, she can. Mary's, the Zanleone family
Yeah.
built that 3 generations ago.
Okay, and and so your father
Yeah.
was one, obviously, so, and have you got any siblings?
No.
No.
I don't wanna just assume, and then it's.
Well, I think it's good to not
I
assume,
know there's a form that.
there is a
you fill
form.
out, so maybe I'll just do
So
that.
if we don't,
You did.
Heather, if we can't get to the yellow died in, then we should
I
keep
know,
going.
He's not
I
responding.
would suggest formally that we all try to be here, because these electric
He's
things
he's
work
having issues.
here and there.
absolutely.
He is?
Okay, that's gotta go in your notes. That one can go.
That one can go instead.
Can stay.
I didn't get it.
Seems to be.
Everything you want, Mark, feels, do you wanna make a
Yes,
motion or just a
start.
suggestion?
What's that?
She said to
You want, think people should
start
be
and
here
I'll listen. what
Okay, he can hear us?
in person.
So, I think so.
Cause he,
I'm gonna ask him, can you hear us?
They could have driven here, this,
Like,
can we just go forward, Heather?
I believe we
Long
can,
as he can
or
hear.
I just wanna make sure that he can hear us. He says he's having some technical difficulties. He says yes, he's in Burlington, so he can hear us. Okay, welcome, Juliana. Not sure if that means that
How's he gonna run?
yeah, you
can't.
gotta
he
take over. the
can,
meeting.
but he can hear, he can hear.
But
the
he
meeting.
can tell
Okay.
me what he wants.
So we can still run the meeting.
Okay.
Um, so,
He could give you the right to run the meeting too.
well, I mean, I
So
have
the
to
minutes are
because,
accepted,
I
Yeah.
have to run the meeting because he can't. talk.
that's a student, yeah.
All right, let's keep going.
Okay, so, we're gonna follow his, agenda, I guess, and, keep going with, what he wants us to do here. Is,
Can you just follow yours, Heather? You're
Yeah.
familiar with yours.
well, I'm not familiar with mine, but I'm trying not to, he says run the new.
That's, oh, good, okay.
So we're going to, do old business, which is the cozy endowment and trust. Mark, do you have any, information? Did you contact the Weaver and Ward?
Yeah, I did. I talked to David Ward, who is the president of Griever and Ward, and good guy. And I should have remembered, back in the eighties, they actually redesigned the redo of the sections at Hope Cemetery at that time. Griever and Ward was involved with that, so he's familiar with Hope Cemetery. Had nothing but compliments to say and offered this. He said, look, he said, you don't need me, you don't need section design, you've already got it. And I explained where the proposed site is, and he said, yeah, I understand where it is, sounds good. So he put me in contact, which I have not, we're playing phone tag, but with a company by the name of Roman Fountains. They're out of Sarasota, Florida.
What is it?
Roman Fountains.
Fountains
Is
Fountains.
It's all they do, is make fountains.
in Florida, okay.
Yeah, and they've got another office in Georgia, I think. He's worked with them extensively. They did a lot of work. He said, you know, you're gonna have to definitely be talking about your climate and shutting it down in the winter and things like that. But he said, you don't need me. He said, this is the company to talk to. So I've yet to really connect with them, but I'm sure we will next week or the week after or whatever. There's some examples of some of their work here that, they do nice stuff. You can get whatever you like. They've done very big projects or some
geez, I guess so.
smaller projects, so
Yeah.
I think it's the company to talk to. There's a couple other options, I think, out there that I did notice, but if David Ward is saying these are a great company, I think they're the ones to talk to. They do great work, so.
Are you gonna incorporate, or, I mean, maybe it's Brandon into it?
Yeah.
Of
Yeah,
course, yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
We hope the whole thing.
Yeah.
it's gonna be the whole thing.
Without
They do a lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
They do it.
And are there any limitations of size and width then, or is it just a matter of?
I think where it's gonna go is we'll be able to measure up that space.
Yeah.
We'll say, this is what we've got to work with, where we'd like to put it, and we'll see, you know, what do you think? Yeah, ideas.
That's where the flag is.
There's some beautiful rectangular pools reflected fountains that are in this little thing, and if you go online and check it out, you can see it better. But, obviously, they're a good company to talk to.
That's wonderful. Did you, by chance, ask him about potential, design for any kind of additional, you know, like last meeting, we were talking about the possibility of like a small structure, and, you know, more parking and, you know, would they?
Yeah, that, I mean, I don't think we need them, just,
Okay.
we'd use a local
Yeah.
design firm for that, I'm sure.
Okay,
These people, I think, are the starting point to basically identify what we're trying to do. I mean, that's kind of the mainstay of where we're going in the beginning, I believe, because that was
yeah,
Eugene Cozy's thoughts. So if we get a little ways with this, then we'll talk about other things, I think, and.
I would like to, yeah, but I do think first things first, and the fountain is,
Yeah, I think it'll be the thing that'll take the most work to design. You know, cause like we talked before, maybe this gets tossed back and they say, we've got these elements to create the fountain. And we could do anything and you can do whatever you want in granite, and we could give you some structure ideas, and then it's gonna bounce around some granite people probably.
yeah,
But anyway, it's a start, and the guys that, you know, David Ward was nothing but helpful, so it was
Right.
nice. He could have just basically said, yeah, we'll help you, and just marked it up. He put us right to the source.
But they would incorporate, excuse me, they would incorporate, like a design from Barre and Rowe.
Yeah, you-
Kevin could suggest that.
Certainly that could be part of the thought. You know, they're not, if you look through all their potpourri of what they do, you know, stone is part of the medium that they use, but they've got all sorts of things that they've done, you know, stainless steel artwork and whatever you can imagine. So they've seen a lot. And so I think, yeah, it'll end up I think, once we get maybe a rough plan to be fine tuned, probably in Barre, Vermont by Barre people, I think.
Do we know the dimensions of what we're working with already?
We don't.
So that
I haven't
needs, that
measured
would
it
need to
up,
be
but-
measured.
So you see the flagpole, you
Exactly,
see,
that was my
the
next
flagpole
question.
probably would have to be moved somewhere else or back. And the Veterans Memorial would have to be moved.
Maybe
And then
the
we have
veterans and the
that-
flag should be together.
Yeah,
Well, they should, I think they should stay together, definitely.
yeah.
Oh, so this doesn't have prices or
So-
any ideas.
No, this,
No,
prices are
And then-
for,
It just kind of goes.
it's all custom work.
Yeah. So you have talked, this is a question from the public. You have talked about project management or not yet? Someone managing the project, not
No,
yet.
I would like to.
Okay,
Okay, can we speak about that?
I mean, it's part of the project,
part of the
so,
project.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, Jeff was here last visit, and he is very interested in being involved in this project in some way. And I think it was Mark, I think you mentioned this quite a while ago, when we found, well, when Helen and I came and visited you, you mentioned that possibly Jeff would be a good person to be like a clerk of the works or a project manager, somebody who has dealt with all these, with people for a long time. The area and is now retired, so that he would be able to answer calls or, you know, we need somebody as a go-between, because you're way too busy, you're far away. I don't know.
you gotta have some,
Is it,
You also
is
need
that
somebody
something, is that something he's interested in doing?
Yes, yes.
That would be
you gotta have
the first
somebody that
step.
has some skill set in that too.
I think it's gonna become something a little more expanded than this group.
Yeah, it has to be.
Because I think you're gonna need, we're gonna have to pick a contractor at some point,
Yeah.
have them involved. And, you know, somebody like Jeff, I'm 100% for, because he understands the cemetery as well or better than anybody. So I think that's all good stuff, but, what I think should happen is, let me hear back from this company,
Yeah.
get that back to this group, and then I think we should think about, okay, who should be involved going forward to take this special project forward. I don't think it's just this group, but I think it's gotta be a little more than that.
Mhm.
That's my personal opinion.
How do you feel about that, Tom? I mean, we're all trying to be careful not to step on toes here and, you know.
Yeah, no, it's,
the Facilities director, I mean.
yeah,
are you
now, given
comfortable with
the,
bringing someone else in to
it's,
manage this project?
I think that'd be up to Nicholas.
Okay.
If he wants to bring someone else in on it, again, it would probably depending on the timing. And probably what my workload would look like at the time.
Well, certainly, you're definitely there. You're where the rubber meets the road in that cemetery.
Yeah.
But I think there's gonna be a lot of little stuff that's gonna need exploration around it that probably will need help with.
Yeah,
Past the committee and probably past you.
I mean, you have a full-time job,
yeah,
and that's definitely
I
full-time,
think the
so
first
somebody who
step going forward
understands.
would be pick your location. Get how big you're gonna want it,
Mhm.
you know, where you can. Cause you're gonna be limited with that patch of grass in front of this
Mhm.
flagpole. Because the driveways go on both sides of it. And you have to watch out, cause those are all plowed,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
so you don't want it to be too close, so it's not getting all that.
Right.
Mhm.
It does get a lot, I don't think it gets much salt up there, but still snow flopping on there.
Long, to me, long and rectangular and narrow isn't a big deal.
Right.
I think you know, again, to me, I see it, and I've seen it in other, cemeteries. You know, long and rectangular, one of those designs has got like 3 fountains in it on a long rectangle. And making the sides bench height that people could sit there, I think might be something nice to look at, I don't know. But, that's kind of what's in my head, but there's a million ways to use it, so And there's a lot more people way talented, more talented than I am to put it together, so. But it's obviously doable. My idea was, you know, we'll get a plan and send it to these people, say, this is the space we're thinking about. What do you think? See what
Yeah,
I
send
got?
them pictures of what's
Right.
around it so they can design for
Right.
the aesthetic. Yeah,
I think Nicholas had a thing where he was hovering over and he could show everything from a bird's eye view, which was great. So if we could send that to them, I have no idea how to access it, but he does.
That would really be a big fountain though, if we had a reflective pool, if you think from that patch of grass. It's not really that small. That would be a big.
we don't have to
And
use the
Yeah,
whole
use the whole
money. I
thing.
mean, we also have to
Right.
keep in mind that this is only gonna run half the year.
Right.
And we wanna make sure that it's money well spent.
Right.
And that it also, you know, is really truly in line with the cemetery as it is. Like, of course, we wanna improve upon it, but I think we have to be really respectful of the fact that, you know, the tone there is not like it is everywhere else. And we wanna make sure that just we're being mindful of that, you know?
Is that our only space? I mean, is that final space?
Well, that'd be the most,
I mean,
that'd be the best showplace for it. You don't, the
No,
walk,
I'm
has,
just-
you
And
just
it's to be the most efficient.
just
would
ask.
be the most efficient too, because you can't go back where the other one is.
No,
Cost
no,
a
I'm not
fortune.
even suggesting
Oh.
that. I'm just picturing it. And I know we had talked also about a welcome center perhaps, which means even more like, you know, electricity digging and all that kind of thing.
I think we gotta get the fountain and also probably identify, are there other serious needs that the cemetery has?
Yes, and
That,
there
that
are.
we need to look at, and does this money suit that the way it's destined by his bequeath? We wanna make sure we're looking at all that. Then anything past that is gravy.
Yeah.
You know, but it's a lot of money, and if we don't just give it away and not pay attention to it, I think we can get a lot done.
Yeah, I think we can get a lot done.
Yeah, are you going to pick like, so the summer's coming, so this is the project for this summer?
I don't think,
No, this will not happen this summer.
no.
But,
No,
okay, but neither will the welcome center. I'm saying
No.
like to cascade all these things, right? They'll have their
Over a
place.
10-year period.
Okay, yeah.
That'd be my guess, 5 to 10 years.
If we could agree on a concept for a fountain for implementation and installation next year, I think that would be as early as we could expect.
Mhm.
I agree.
Mark, how do you propose to get other people involved?
Well, I think I think we just need to see what they come back to us with. And see how we agree with it and what we feel about it, and to me, that's not a decision maker, that's just, yeah, we kinda like that. Well, then, what do we need to make it happen if we chose that? We'll need everybody here, and we're gonna need maybe this guy and that guy, and, you know, are we comfortable with who will do the work? You know, we probably could bid it and then, you know, have local people, then we can offshoot, you know, do we wanna do some ornamentation around it? Sculpted pieces or intricate pieces, or is it gonna be more, you know, modernist looking, you know, all that's gonna come into play. And then when we see where our tastes land, I think then we're gonna decide, okay, we need, how about this guy, this lady, well, but we're a ways from that, I think.
Do you think there's anything that we could work on? I mean, just thinking about fountains and looking at 25 pictures there. Is there homework that you would suggest that we could go look?
Well, there's tons, if you just Google up cemetery fountains, there's a gazillion of them all over the internet.
So we should start thinking about looking at.
Well, if
things that
anybody
appeal
sees
to us.
something that looks like it's attractive and could be a possibility, I think that'd be great, you know, just print it off, save it. And the idea doesn't have to come from the fountain company, we might have an idea to give to the fountain company.
So probably every meeting from now going forward, we should come with homework.
Or just build a portfolio that we keep.
Yeah, and start building.
Yeah.
Bringing them in and suggesting them, here's something I found.
And there may be other companies too that are interesting, I don't know, when he basically gave up his right to mark them up and sent us direct to them and gave full, recommendation, I think, well, probably that's the right company to be with.
That speaks volumes.
Yeah, because he could have took us for a ride for sure, but he didn't. He was really good about things, and he said, if I can help you, I'd be happy to. But he was saying, like, if you want to get into, your cemetery is already designed, but he said, if you want to get into plantings and the right, shrubbery or whatever that will last in your climate, he said, that's where I might be able to really help you.
So do you feel comfortable at this point moving forward with being liaison to the Roman Fountain
Yeah,
Company? And, we might be premature to bring Jeff or another person as a representative of, a project manager type of thing until
We
we
have a project.
have.
Yeah,
another meeting or
I
two.
think what we can do is once I get talking to an individual,
Yeah,
we'll send where our idea is, the plot location with dimensions and whatever, and photos of whatever all around it. And say, here, this is what we're talking about. Have you done anything for similar sites? And, we'll be able to take pictures through the entryway to, right through it, maybe even a video going in. So he gets an idea. And, then let's see where it goes.
so you're comfortable in that role?
Good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine, but I'm actually very interested in it because might be something that comes up again sometime. So, but don't worry, I'll pass it towards.
Do you think, that you need clarification from, like, Nicholas, or do you need clarification from what Tom comes to mind, people involved in this in some way, see their role in it?
They were here last week
Yeah.
and pretty much said, that the quest had some loose stipulations to it and that, we would be, responsible for making decisions about what we would like to see there. And then I'm sure we would have to, of course, run those by Tom or Nicholas or the two of them for approval. And
Tom
that's
said
totally
that he
fine.
was the trustee.
Yes.
He was very
He
clear
was
about
the
that.
trustee and he was not in the design, or that's the way I understood.
Absolutely, but as
Yeah.
far as like the money getting dispensed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Then, yeah, we have to go through the city for that, absolutely.
Mhm. Well, it's not
You
attached to
go
the
through
city at
Tom,
all.
you'd have to go.
We have to go right to Tom. Yeah,
Which might think things might be quicker that way. Cause it's one person
yeah.
doling out monies.
So the other thing then we should be identifying is other uses.
Absolutely.
Whatever we think of that might be a possible other use for these funds.
I'd like to clean up the wooded area, all the tree line, and there's still a lot of, trees down from storm damage like 4 years ago, that it's an eyesore. So I think just landscaping as far as resolving that would be a good use of some of the funds.
I don't know if there's any areas particularly need paving or whatever as well. And again, I should have listened a little better than Tom, but not sure exactly where we can spend money, but we can make a list.
Yeah,
I'm sure you can come up with 20 things in a hurry.
well, I remember from when I was on the committee before, there always seemed to be an issue with, paying people enough money to work at the cemetery as groundskeepers, so it might be wise to take a chunk of the money and just use it to pay people to take care of the grounds better.
or hire
It
somebody.
would be a contract deal then, you'd say, it'd be a contracted deal, right?
Yeah, you get.
But you got union to consider.
Yeah, you're gonna run into, yeah,
Are the lawnmower people and weed whackers union?
the,
Yeah.
the
Oh,
foreman.
no, they're seasonal.
They're
She's
The
seasonal,
foreman is you.
yeah,
The full, one full-time permanent position up there is you.
yeah.
Uh,
But if you came in, like Heather said, and you had an area and you hired someone as a, special thing to just clean that up. You know,
coming into, thin the trees and take. the-
yeah,
Yeah, we could probably do that because that's a single contract.
single contract,
That is outside the range of what we're set up to do.
because you're not obligated to offer, overtime if you bring contractors onto the property of the city.
That or have to go through, look at the.
That's what
with
you,
contractors.
that's what we would probably need to know, because I know that the power company, that's the way it is. If you have contractors on the property, you have to offer overtime. It's just something to look into. I don't know, what IBW is the city? What union is it?
Steelworkers.
Steelworkers,
No, Don, up there is
Yeah.
an AFSCME, which is the same as the Public Works
okay,
people. My facilities people are steelworkers.
okay. Interesting, yeah.
They're two different.
Great.
I think I heard a price, when we had the grub situation. I don't think, I don't know whether you ever saw that. I think
No.
you're glad you didn't, it was
No.
terrible.
It's
And
still
I
not
think,
great. To be honest with you.
I think Jeff contacted someone to have them do the mowing, and it was like $65,000 for the summer.
Probably.
And
That's-
that-
there's
that
a-
is
that
about
is,
reasonable.
it is
It's
a
nothing extra.
high labor. Because you have to go around all the stones
Mhm,
and you can't go in there with a big piece of equipment,
mhm.
48-inch mower.
But it's usually beautifully done. So on a regular basis, they just come in and do their, So anyway. We don't know if we're gonna have the grub issue again. It certainly will come back at some
Well,
point.
wasn't there some issue that every so many years, we're gonna have to retreat this?
Yes, you should
Yes.
retreat. And if we could go into get a turf program started of fertilizing and aerating and overseeding and.
That sounds like a really strong possibility, because we got a lot of negative comments on what the cemetery looked like when
Yeah.
those grubs tore everything up.
Mhm.
And then we had the grub deterrent put down, but not everywhere. And True Green was coming back, and then Nicholas said, oh, we're done. We've got the front green, that's all that everybody will see. And so he never finished the True Green program for the grub, getting rid of all the grubs. So, and there are grubs still.
Oh, yeah.
Up out there.
Yeah.
It's definitely a
Good
lot.
by yours, it's terrible.
I
So would you
treated-
see
I
that
treated
as?
it Myself, it cost me over $200 just to treat Sally O'Neill.
Yeah. So that'd be something you'd see use the money for?
For contracted
Maintenance,
turf
turf
program.
maintenance.
Yeah.
That particularly because that
Yes.
was a huge negative thing, right?
And you couldn't
Huge.
stop it. It just-
No.
And people didn't understand it. They looked at it as negligence and.
Right.
Well, and the monument cleaning, I know you had mentioned last meeting, it'd be nice to have them all done.
I think so.
I do too. I think that'd be really important.
And on that note,
What?
I realize the Cozy Trust is just for Pope, but the other ones need monuments cleaned as well. Elmwood it's horrible. I'm sure St. Monica's in the same
Yeah.
place.
Yeah,
Well, it's for the betterment of Hope Cemetery.
but
Right.
some of this is covered under the purview of the city though, right? Like budgeted money for the city, although,
Or maybe Matt would be willing to do some of them.
Possibly.
yeah, some debating, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering, where's the line, right? Cause if you can Like Rock of Ages money doesn't ever go to St. Monica's or Elmwood, right?
There's no Rock of Ages.
No.
Well, okay,
We're just for,
so,
mowing, just mowing. they mow
Yeah.
There.
so the Rock of Ages money that used to exist doesn't exist anymore, they've pulled that. So now the cleaning of the stones in some form or fashion has to be done by somebody in all three cemeteries.
Very Granite Association was paying half of what.
Yeah.
Still is. And I've never heard back, but, you know, our company, if Rock's not gonna pay the $2,500, we'll pay it. It was fine.
That's for the one section that would be this year, like, what is it this year?
Yeah,
Today?
you know, you're saying wash them all, that would be ridiculously expensive.
Ew.
And I can see paying attention to Elmwood a little bit. But if you talk to somebody like this, like Giuliano Senior, he'll look at a monument and he kind of doesn't want you to clean it. That's what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
And like with Corey's nose got whacked off, he had said, no, you gotta leave it. It's destiny. It's what happens.
As they age. so-
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, I think if we get involved with Elmwood at some point, which I'm not against at all, I think we wanna be kind of, critical of just where we're gonna do what.
Well, we could put out a public notice stating that we are planning on cleaning all the stones, and if you have an objection to having your stone cleaned, please get in touch with us so that we make sure not to clean it, like, you know, we have to be respectful of people and their wishes. I know there are a lot of people who keep track of their own family monuments, or
Yeah.
their relatives' monuments, and pay to have them cleaned. But there are a lot of stones in all the cemeteries where there are no living members left, and people who can afford to caretake them like that, especially in the old sections. And, you know, I think that if, you know, we gave people the option and they didn't want their stone cleaned, then they could just let us know, and then we would know not to clean that stone.
Yeah, I'm not even saying the owners, I'm saying the viewers. Some people might like it the way it is. You know, when you go to some of the beautiful cemeteries down south and you see them and you're saying, oh, look, it's all dirty. A lot of people think that's beautiful, that the shadows, and that you do get so much more sculpture shading and design shading and whatever. When, you know, when they're clean, you lose a little of that. So I think we can always look at it. I think we're still gonna have limited funds for cleaning,
Yeah.
no doubt, unless, I don't know if anybody else will pony up, we can ask at the PGA level. If anybody else wants to help with donations towards cleaning.
I'd like to see the old section, you know, right farthest up 14. I'd really like to see that.
Cleaned,
Way on the right.
yeah, it's pretty bad.
We can't do the whole cemetery, like, I get that,
There's
but
a
I think
couple
that
broken.
whole section really,
Cause that's a lot of marble and a lot of stuff that wasn't granite, and
Concrete.
some of it is gonna clean and some of it is only gonna come so much, but
right,
I think probably the reason they hadn't gone there in a while is that, and they have, I think, before, but they get not as good of a result as the all very granite sections that really do come right back. You know, there's a lot of different, it's a hodgepodge up there, but I agree to do it, that's for sure.
That's section K, and that was done not that long ago.
really.
It's fairly recent, yeah.
Maybe it's just like all the dust coming off
They
of
don't
the
come-
construction.
They don't come as clean,
They just,
Because it's not very granite.
a lot of it.
Yeah.
wow,
You know
I did
that,
not know that.
that section that you're talking about, if you walk into it and then down where it dips way down, there's a lot of unmarked graves. That whole area of brush really comes this way. That could be cleaned up a little bit better.
That's where the flu one is.
Yes.
That's where all those burials are.
Yeah, and there are no names.
I actually, when I do the flowers, I stay out of there because there's usually homeless people that are camped right
Yeah,
there.
sometimes,
And they're not nice people,
no, sometimes.
definitely not nice people. I can't run that
Now we need a
fast.
guard too.
Geez, now we need, well, maybe
Full-time guard.
something needs to get put there, but, you know, if they're there, then call somebody to shoo them away, I guess, but I think it still needs to be clean, because it's.
That'll be Star's job.
Yeah, that'd probably be right up my alley.
Good
It wouldn't
project.
be up her alley.
So maybe we all, keep brainstorming ideas
Mhm.
for ways that we could use some of this money for the betterment of Hope. And bring them back to the next meeting.
Did Tom talk about there being like, you know, you wanna maybe keep some of the principal for the, you know, going forward into perpetuity, so is there some amount of money that, I know the fountain's a different thing, but that would be dispensed annually to keep like,
No,
We did not have them.
okay, that was.
That's pretty.
My understanding was that, you know, we think of ways to use the money for the betterment of Hope, and we take it to Tom.
But that's certainly part of it.
Do you see what?
And I do think thinking long term
Yeah.
is a very good idea.
Yeah.
Very.
I'm sure he's already thought of that. It surprised me. if
well,
he
I
didn't.
would like it to get like the flower fund, which you can only use the principal. And then it's not enough money to buy enough flour.
Well, maybe what we should do is consider buying the flower fund out and getting rid of it. That'll be a real knockdown.
You can face the citizens of Barre.
Yeah.
when they
Well,
come
if we
there.
wait long enough, they'll all be dead. All the ones that did it. I'm just saying. Sorry, Doc.
Let's move on. Let's keep it real. So much for a public meeting.
Okay, so should we move on to new business? I think included in new business could be, talking about, Star, and you're here as a guest.
Member of the public.
And that you have an interest in rejoining the committee,
Mhm.
and are you gonna put in an application?
I did.
Okay,
I did it, like
okay,
2 weeks ago. I was recruited, seriously recruited. Yes, I've taken care of that. Now I'm just waiting for Nancy.
yeah,
To let me know if I, yes, give me an appointment for an interview.
wonderful.
Let me
Yes.
know who that is.
Oh, no. There'll be a public outcry.
I don't know how mine has gone, but it's been back and forth, thanks. For giving me my letter of support. And so Tom Lozon said that he would take care of it. So I talked to Nancy today and I don't have an appointment.
You will not have
I
to.
will not have.
Could you talk to her about me not having
I
one?
could do this.
If Juliana writes in your behalf, you don't have to have an appointment.
He won't.
That's
But
correct.
he said in an email to me that he had done your name and my name, and put it
Yes.
He
forward.
refused, he refused.
Well, that way,
Well,
And yours went through many,
no, I got it right here. This, my form is here, but I was gonna try and check before I headed home. Call somebody here, because he wrote a specific email to me to let me know that it was taken care
I'm not hopping on, so I'm guessing that's not news to him. And so Eileen, you're not going to the council meeting?
I don't think I have
need
to.
do that,
I don't
already
think I have
done it because she got the letter, and you're.
I will go when they ask me to come.
Cause she's a brand new
Yeah,
person joining, so she
of. Well, you've been on the committee.
Like 10 years.
doesn't count now.
Oh,
But it's okay. I'm fine with whatever.
got it.
Yeah.
Duly noted.
does anyone else have any new business?
Well, I wanted to, two things. I brought some examples, and how every year we do something like this.
Oh, for get the stuff out of this?
Because May 15th is coming,
Mm.
and May 15th is when all the artificial flowers and wreaths and all that stuff has to be removed. And so we usually put something in the website. Yep, the Barre City website, just to ask, but this has Jeff's name on it at the bottom. So this could be just waited out or whatever, but it's time to do that. And then, David Delcor usually writes something in the paper
Okay.
before May 15th. And he's very, very nice about it, and he does it, in a very lighthearted way. just to remind people, May 19th is coming.
Are we gonna have a cleanup day?
No, we're gonna hire contractors, money.
No, I'm serious.
Cleanup day, well,
Oh,
before the flowers,
oh, wait a
the
minute.
flowers go in.
I don't mean clean up flower beds and things,
No.
and look at the whole picture.
Oh, like we were planning to have that October day. I don't think we've spoken about that. Yeah.
Is that what you're referring to or something else?
Or just a general walkabout, you know, if there's stuff there.
Well, there's stuff,
Oh, I know.
as you know, there's lots.
But we are not authorized to move it, is my understanding.
And
And
city, Barre employee.
I think that we should just take things in steps and put the notice out first, and then we can talk at the next meeting about a possible cleanup day.
I wasn't speaking of monuments, I was speaking of just
Stuff.
debris or
Debris.
branches. Yeah, we had a work day at St. Francis Cemetery in Winooski, and we had 10 people, and if there were a limb over a monument, which there were, and large blowdowns on the grounds, and we just picked them up.
I'll touch base with Donnie and see what his
He may have
assessment is, and he
ideas,
might
yeah.
have ideas of what they wanna handle, and what
Exactly.
might be, you know, good for a small team of people to go in and help out if they can't handle some things.
So at this point, is there a director of the cemetery?
It's Tom. Oh, let Tom answer.
You okay with me talking to Donnie about it though, and seeing if he's got,
Yeah, I know,
Any
I've been
issues?
talking to him about and he wants to bring back Brandon and another guy to help get a lot of the deadfalls and stuff cleaned up here in April, and the first part of May, instead of waiting until the grass slows down in July to do that stuff.
Hmm.
And that'll help us get ahead of it and not need as many people. Try to get as much work done before we have to start mowing.
And will you have a full staff of mowers this year?
Due to budget cuts, we're gonna try with five people. They had 7 last year. We're gonna go with 5, and the facility staff is gonna be taking over the large open areas, you know, the front, the Route 14 side of Hope, that Elmwood sliding bank, for lack of a better term. Those areas that don't have the monuments, the facilities crews are gonna be taking over that. They'll take 3-4 acres out for their plate.
That's a good idea.
That's what you really run, facilities, I don't know, so I should know, but I'm not. You run, and then the cemeteries are an additional,
Apparently, they're part of my duties.
okay, so I'm trying to, yeah,
Cemetery, parks, pools, buildings.
okay.
But that should be a big help to take that big chunk off.
Yeah, they can, instead of doing it with little 48s, and do 54s and 60s and
Be faster,
mowers.
yeah.
Look,
I think there was a company that mowed the front of Hope last year. They had those big mowers that you stood on. And they came through, zoom.
Right.
They took over last year too.
so Eileen, you said you had 2 items that,
Well,
and
I-
anything
No,
else?
this was the item, just the two
Front and back.
things,
Okay.
that there's an article in the newspaper and then something on the webpage. I don't know, this is my only copy.
Okay, I'll look, see if I can find it. Jeff may have kept it.
Or just make a
Oh,
copy
he
of that.
definitely can.
Yeah, but Stephanie used to do it for you, right?
Yeah, Stephanie did this. And I think I gave this to Nicholas too.
And so is there like a Stephanie equivalent now? Okay.
No.
No, okay.
She might be a good person to have in the committee. To join.
Well, her mom's passed
There's a lot
away
of,
now.
there's a lot of knowledge of
Yeah.
what went on, what happened,
Mhm,
contacts, people.
mhm.
What do you think of, are you doing the flags or are we doing the flags this year?
Yes,
Have a company?
the same people, Flags for Veterans,
Mhm.
I'm sure they're coming.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think, so. I'm
Do
sure
they need to be called or,
they'll be in before Memorial Day.
okay.
Just can't get here soon enough, right?
Okay, I had, something I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to revisit, Gary Sassy's monument and his plot. And I spoke with him this morning and he gave me, drawings and, a plan, and last week, or last meeting, we talked about, that it was more the placement of the memorial than that he wanted to put something else on the plot. And if it were placed appropriately, that my understanding was that people weren't gonna have a problem with that having it outright in that area. And so when I talked to him this morning, he said that, he ideally would like to have the statue set right next to his uncle's grass marker. So it's not it's not impeding the view of his family's mausoleum. It's not too close to the line of the other lot where, Eugene Memorial is. And I just wanted to get some feedback from you guys on that.
How big is it? We've never seen it.
So it is total with the base, 5'4". The base is 2'8". And the statue is 34 inches. So just under 3 feet.
So I thought that last year the whole thing was that it wasn't permitted to do that, to have. And I'm just saying, that's what I was under the impression, it wasn't permitted to have, if you wanna call it a second monument?
Yes.
Well, it may not be permitted, but
Yeah.
there are other uprights in that section. I mean, you could count the Palmisano PHA as an upright. That's not technically a mausoleum. It's a full round carving.
Separate than the family memorial. This is sitting separately. And I think Gary used the example of, I want to say Cemeteries. And, I can't think of the name, it starts with a B and he was a chef. Bonamico. The Bonamicos, there are two angels on the side, and they look like they are part of the big monument, but they are not. And Gary has used that as well, you see.
Yeah,
There are two separate things here, and
and there are.
we have to think about the mowing and the weed whacking too. Will that get in the way? I know he's now changed his position because he definitely wanted it between Cozy and his parents.
And I think now that he's spent more time looking at it and understanding that there was the possibility that he couldn't have it in at all, he's willing to be flexible with the placement. And told me this morning that he would be very happy if he could put it right next to that grass marker.
Are we allowing something to happen here that
Precedent.
open the door
Yeah,
to something else?
what do your
Is this-
rules and regs say?
It says you can have the mausoleum on that piece of property.
This is what I worry about. Our lot's on the other side of that, and hopefully we're gonna have something there this year. If you go past the feature that was designed, whenever all of us buy those lots, they pretty much tell you this is what you can have. When you exceed that, and I'm not against Gary or any of this, but when you exceed that, what's to stop somebody, how much space do they have, and they wanna put one statue, well, okay, does that mean Benetti can put 10? Just, how does that all work?
I understand that. I actually bought, a plot at the end of the very beginning of the mausoleum row, next to the parking area. And when I bought it, Jeff told me I could put whatever I wanted there, I didn't have to put a mausoleum, I could put an upright, and I wouldn't have bought that plot if he hadn't said that. So, given Gary's dedication to this community, he spent his entire life working for our industry, working for Barre,
Totally agree with that.
making us look really good, and I mean, this is his family's legacy.
What if we made it, it's sort of like this, if you wanna do something past the normal, whatever was,
Regulation.
yeah, whatever was intended, that you do exactly what he's asking, and we can make an exception. And I'm not sure it's just this committee, we gotta make sure legally, from the city's point of view,
Mhm.
that they're on it. I personally don't have any problem with a person like Gary getting this piece if it's placed properly and doesn't infringe on somebody else's space. But I don't think it could be carte blanche. It's gotta be regulated a little bit too.
Probably would have to go, I would say, to the council, to try to get a waiver. After you went, like you said, you went through, make sure it's all legal,
Okay,
and then go somewhere above this level.
yeah,
And ask them for a specific waiver. Because he's been such a big part of the community and the whole spiel you just went through.
But again,
Ask for a waiver.
so, just not to, if somebody, the rules decided they want to expand into their front of their lot,
Yeah.
they've done a lot for the community in Granite too. That's a big footprint, and there's a lot of room for other things. Just, we have to be cognizant of that, understand that it can turn wheels in a lot of people's heads. And again, it's nothing
think
against
Jeff-
Gary, I just think we just get to get through.
I think Jeff was very worried about that, knowing that, people go into Hope all the time, they see things. And if they wanted to put 3 more things, how are they gonna say, well, you let Gary do that? And so Jeff was saying, no, because that's what the rules say. I mean, I haven't memorized it, so I don't know, but I think it says the mausoleum is the item that's on that property.
So what about what Heather said about when she bought? You were the first lot? The first in the row? Oh, the dirt, okay. So when you bought there, he said, was it an exemption because of where that was located, that it could go either way? You could do a mausoleum,
possibly.
but you could also do something else because of, if it wasn't.
Being on the end.
Yeah, was it not really, it was questionable whether or not it was actually in the mausoleum zone, do you know what I'm saying, like you were.
That is
But
possible.
you don't have to have a mausoleum down there, where we're building, we're not building a mausoleum. We're building a pergola. It's the footprint of a mausoleum, but it's not a mausoleum, so, that standards. does
So you
not
won't
exist.
bury anybody in that?
Yeah, but not inside
Oh,
the building, we have markers
yeah.
in front. And, so, you're not, it doesn't preclude you from having a large monument, they just want it to be a feature section.
Yeah,
So the issue that we're having around Gary's is that there already is a mausoleum on the plot.
Right.
And it's the addition of the statue.
right,
What does that set up precedent?
that's what
Yes.
we're worried about.
Yes, that's what,
So I think this really needs to be bounced to somebody legal,
Okay.
because it should be, is this legal for us to consider?
Right,
And then we'll look at it, nobody's got the axe to grind with Gary, is great.
yeah,
But-
it's not,
I mean, I don't think it's a question for us, it's a question to somebody else, and then they can pass it to us.
see, to
So
me,
that somebody else would be
I think the
Mayor.
city council or somebody.
Yeah.
city council.
They're gonna have
Or
to,
Nicholas.
Okay.
yeah,
Pass it out.
grant an exception of some sort with some sort of language to support
Yeah.
why the
Yeah.
exception is made.
right.
Okay.
so we
Nicholas
haven't
will
seen.
hand it off to legal. Nicholas will hand it off to legal.
Right,
And
Okay.
Because we
Then
haven't
take a
seen
look
this
at it.
one. I mean, I know you just gave, under 3 feet, that means absolutely nothing.
Like, let's say it was like an
Like
inch.
that's standard.
It is an
So it
extreme.
Okay.
Is. It's not, what,
Well-
5'4"?
Yeah,
That's me.
That's here,
yeah,
and with a 2-foot base, which is about the chair
That
height,
chair, and
then
then
you'll have
3 feet on
the
top
3-foot
of it.
statue on top of that.
That's sort of an obstruction in the front of his father's.
But it's not on the
It's off to the
It's
side.
off to the
It's off to
side,
the side.
but it's still sitting in the
The-
front
the-
where the road
The
is.
first issue is.
can you do it?
Can you do it?
Yeah,
Let's
because you
get
might,
that out of the way.
we
before
can't
we
do
argue
it,
about the rest.
we can't do it.
Okay, well, I'll pedal it around, with the class and see,
Yeah,
if they can get a little waiver in the section.
I get it. We might be arguing about something or discussing something that it's a moot point. They might say absolutely not, we can't do it. And if that happens, then that's the way it is.
Okay,
The angels on the Simonetta are much smaller. And they're not sticking out in front. I would tend to vote, even though I like Gary a lot and I understand. I would say he's stepping over the line here.
but we're not voting, really.
I know we're not voting, but I would just like to say.
See, I would say, if you're gonna place it,
Out in front.
I would see, and it was an angel, and he does beautiful stuff, so it's an angel, why wouldn't you place it like more? What's the right word? Not off to the side like an afterthought, why wouldn't you have it, if you could? Have it like in front,
The family memorial.
but see that, I see what you're saying, but that's not what, to me, it looks like, okay, I can't put it in front, I don't know that he wanted to. I can't,
Well, I mean,
Okay.
it is in front.
yeah, but I can't put it in like,
Right in the front.
right in the front.
In line.
In line or as part of looking at the whole monument for his family, that being enclosed in that view of it, to me, it's kind of off to the side. And so I'd like, to me, why wouldn't, I know he's trying to be flexible, he's trying to get it there, but I'm saying, if he has the right to do it, he has the right to put it probably where he wants, right? So,
Well, he told me this morning he wanted it next to his uncle.
yeah, it's interesting.
And he would be buried next to that. Anyway,
Okay.
I'll take it up with Nicholas and.
Yep.
It's not gonna happen. It's not our decision to make.
Yeah. How soon does he want to do it? Sooner than later?
It's been over a year.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And then
Probably been 2 years.
It's not finished yet. The base is not finished.
No,
So he still has time to, find another way to.
He
figure
told
it
me
out.
he did. Giuliano had called him up to look at it and he brought it here in the back of his truck the day it rained. And it was a model and it ruined the model.
Oh, geez.
And he was.
The model's okay.
very- And he
It's
sat
not-
here for that.
She said it's okay.
So
It's
we
okay
can,
now. We told me
yeah, the model's fine.
it is,
The model's
okay.
fine.
Told me it was ruined.
I guess we're gonna open it up to roundtable. Which we've kind of been doing anyway.
Because that's our whole meeting is.
Stick it to the agenda, okay? Not seeing, Juliana, do you have anything you wanna add via text, through me, as a voice, in the meeting at all? Not sure if you're still there or not.
just be sure you put that in there about people being here. You're present, physically present. I mean,
So our next meeting date is May 12th. Here at 3:30. And Star, hopefully you'll be joining us.
you know, I can't come on the 12th. I have a little job on Mondays and Wednesday afternoons with an 8-month-old. And so I can't do that, but I can do the fall.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
but Eileen will send me the minutes, right? So I'll know.
It's not a PDF file.
PDF.
I have a meeting that same time, that same day.
Okay,
You
so.
do.
In Winooski at their cemetery association.
So I just would ask, is there any flexibility? Or not, I know we've always done what, third Mondays? Third
Well-
Mondays? Is there any flexibility?
There is no flexibility with the city because we have been given
Oh, this
the
time?
second, Yeah,
Oh,
The
the second Monday.
okay,
Zoom meeting.
okay,
And there are so many meetings.
That's fine.
There aren't another, there's not another June.
okay.
It's been a big benefit so far.
Yeah. What would happen if we decided we didn't want a Zoom meeting?
You can, you have to, you have to.
Okay, well, I haven't,
Takes
if
care of that.
Juliana wanted to chime in, that was opportunity, and I'm gonna adjourn the meeting unless anyone has
Okay,
any other things to discuss today.
Are there flowers being ordered or we don't have money? You don't have money.
They've been,
You got it.
There's
Yeah.
$5,000. I got it last year.
it's gonna come in handy for buying those people all out.
So how do
You
I?
good?
Yeah, I think so, so meeting adjourned at.
Oh, wait. You got a second or something?
We second, third, you were sleeping as usual.
You're on a whole different.
Great.
Yeah,
Thank you, guys.
How do I
All
write
right,
down?
thanks, guys.
so,
I don't.
Juliana tried to get into your Zoom and
He
had
said at
issues.
3:39, he said to start and I'll listen, and I said,